How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. I am your host, FaZe Crypto. So in a world where Bitcoin is currently valued at the time of recording this video, by the time you're going to watch it, it's going to change $9,537 Bitcoin. And I realize the allure of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a quite attractive cryptocurrency, but I figured that it was time to talk about the different altcoins that are valued under a penny, so you could get fill a pretty big bag of these altcoins for under a penny. And this is my list of the top 5 altcoins that could 10x, 100x, even in some circumstances 1,000x their value, in some circumstances overnight. So without any further ado, here's number 1 on the list, Cardano. And I've talked quite extensively about Cardano, and it's a decentralized public blockchain and cryptocurrency project and is fully open source. Cardano is developing a smart contracts platform which seeks to deliver more advanced features than any protocol previously developed. It is the first blockchain platform to involve scientific, philosophical, and research-first academic sort of bend to it. And many people do, in fact, refer to Cardano as what we would, basically lend to being the next generation of cryptocurrency, because you got to imagine that Bitcoin was conceived in 2008, 2009, sort of technology there at the very most. So we think about Bitcoin as sort of grandfathered in because it was the original. And then, of course, building upon Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, which is sort of like Bitcoin 2.0, the sort of next generation of cryptocurrency. And in a large sense, it's arguably makes sense to look at it in that same fashion. So where do we go from that? And of course, that leads us to Cardano ADA, which is definitely a blend of smart contracts, and it really does move beyond the later advancements, because every single new incarnation of cryptocurrency does in fact lend itself to being definitely an interesting advancement. So that's number 1 on the list. Number 2 on the list, of course this list is really in no particular order, we have Holochain. And Holochain is sort of in the same context where we would think about Cardano as being the next generation of cryptocurrency, sort of quote unquote. Holochain thinks beyond the concept of blockchain. Even on their website it says what comes after blockchain, and it is interesting to talk about when we think about the real the future of the internet, the concept of data, which is of course something that's going to continue to pop up time and time again in the different analysis of cryptocurrencies. So we have Cardano, which is peer-to-peer, versatile solutions, agent-centric, but moreover, I would believe, a more human internet, which is really what we need to think about, in terms of thinking about the actual future of the internet. Now, I know this is sort of like next level, but no matter who you are, you need to understand that the internet is the most important invention in human history in our lifetime, and it's still in its early stages. Although 1999 until recent years, so in about 25 odd years, we've seen the internet go from being like a footnote to being everything, and it's only going to continue to be more transparent and more so when we talk about data, when you talk about the your own data and your control of data and the actual internet that we are all going to be living among, you really need to think about a technology. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and recommend any of these specific technologies, but at the same time, as a philosophical point to be made, I would just say, if you could take anything away from this video, it's that you need to personally take into your own hands your own decision that you're going to make regarding how subservient are you going to be to the technologies that will soon inherit place places of your life that maybe you didn't want them in. I mean, maybe you wanted more privacy and all these things, but once a lot of these different things get ruled out, you're going to wish that holochain was an option. You're going to wish that Bitcoin was still an option, and it's happening right now. Every single day, the development of cryptocurrency is happening on a legal, on a logistical, on a policy level, on a technological level. So the amount of support that you give to any given feature and any given entity is in fact going to lend itself to your either downfall or the rest of our downfall. Anyway, I'm on a rant there. Next on the list, we have Electronium. And Electronium is definitely an interesting cryptocurrency because Electronium, a revolutionary new digital payment ecosystem. And the reason why Electronium has such a potential to really leverage is you think about like Africa, you think about parts of, quote unquote, developing nations where people might not necessarily have a bank right next door. They might not have a Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or any of these other, United Bank sort of things that are right next door to you, in all these different countries. And it might seem out of the ordinary for somebody who lives in a more developed part of the world, but this is a real reality. And when we talk about banking from your phone, and the even more rural parts of even the United States, if you still live there, it will be interesting to see just how corporations, realtors, and people, because at that point, at that level, it is really just a question of data accessibility. But 5G sort of does have a solution to that problem. So in a big sense, as more and more we see the next generation of technology really being ruled out, and slowly but surely these things are our future, Electronium definitely does have a lot of potential for 5x overnight, 10x for sure, 100x, even 1000x. It's right there, it's in your face. It's up to you, and it's for your own decision to make. And then of course next on the list we have Tron TRX. And Tron is an interesting character. Now I add Tron later on the list because there are some discrepancies with Justin Sun. There are some things that you might want to look into. Of course, with any of these technologies, you want to look into the history. You always want to just look into the background of the human beings who are behind these projects. I know Justin Sun had his meeting with Warren Buffett. I have been bullish on Tron in the past, just basically because it has that potential to 10x, 100x its value overnight, and make me money. So if you want to make money, Tron isn't a bad decision for a portfolio if one were inclined to make such a decision. Not that I'm advocating for any of these technologies. I'm really just saying that you should go and make your own decision about every single one of these things that I bring up. Do your own research, make your own decision, because remember, I'm not your dad, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm only here to share my opinion and maybe some inclination of the decisions that I'm making behind the scenes, because I don't need to tell you what's in my portfolio if I don't want to. I make my moves in silence, and these are some interesting cryptos that are under a penny that you could really fill up a huge bag with if you were so inclined to do so. Now, finally on the list, we have Karma. Now this is an interesting crypto because it really has, it's all-time high. We were seeing it substantially higher value than it is right now. So there is a lot of potential for 10x, for 100x. It's currently ranked at the 862nd position, but what really makes this an interesting crypto, is the ability that it has mooned. It moons and then it busts. It's like one of those cryptos that's like a pump and dump, but still equally, if you're a trader, a lot of people who are cryptocurrency traders who I've been in contact with have found use for these sort of pump and dump coins, but still there is some promise with the technology behind it. We have to sort of wait, and we have more of a wait and see attitude, but that's why it's the last on the list. I know the list really isn't in any particular order, but Karma is definitely put at the end of the list for that same reason. Now, sort of as a bonus, I want to add in basic attention token. I am currently using the Brave browser to make this video, and Brave browser will actually pay you for what you're doing on the internet. Now I've actually currently got $2. $2.02 this month. I know it doesn't sound like much, but Brave browser is, how much does Google pay you for using their platform? So that is interesting, and it definitely is something that's worth talking about. Regardless, the list as goes: Electronium, Tron, Holochain, basic attention token, Karma, Electronium, Cardano, Holochain, Tron. Like you got the list. You know what I'm talking about. So don't get too distracted by Bitcoin. Don't get too distracted by the goings on of the mainstream, lamestream cryptocurrency space, because there are a lot of options out there. There are plenty of opportunities to 10x, 20x. But remember, do your own research. It is a high risk, high volatility space, and I'm in no way advocating that you actually go and invest in any of these cryptos unless you determine through your own intellectual faculties that it's within your own best interest to do so. But that's your business, and that's none of my business. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Remember to comment, rate, subscribe, and share this video with anybody who you might think is interested in a cryptocurrency that could make you a millionaire overnight. But all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And my name is FaZe Crypto. Make sure you subscribe, and peace out and stay relevant.